Breaking news for January 20th, 2019. Man 19 detained on immigration concerns, wanted in 4 Nevada murders. Detained on immigration concerns, wanted in 4 Nevada murders. Wait a minute, I thought Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer said that all these dreamers and migrants and illegals were coming here to make the country better. The suspect linked to the murders was in custody on an immigration hold and other charges. Investigators in northern Nevada said a suspect in the murders of 4 people, 3 of them women, is in custody on an immigration hold and other charges. Wilbur Ernest Martinez Guzman, 19, was arrested Saturday afternoon by deputies from the Carson County Sheriff's Office. That would be Carson City, Nevada. Washoe County Sheriff Darren Balam told a news conference Sunday. And if you don't know where Carson City is, it's just west of Reno, Nevada. We feel confident we have the evidence to link him to all 4 homicides, Sheriff Balam said. Investigators said the killings started on or around January 10th of 2019 in Gardnerville, a town south of Carson City, Nevada. Connie Kuntz, 56 years old, was found shot and killed in her home. On January 13th, 74-year-old Sophia Renkin was found dead in her home, approximately a mile away from Connie Kuntz, who was found shot to death in her home. The FBI joined the investigation after the bodies of married couple Gerald David, 81 years old, and Sharon David, his wife, 80 years old, were found in their home on the southern edge of Reno Wednesday. Sheriff Balam told the Associated Press on Friday that all 4 killings were similar in the use of a firearm and the removal of objects from the victims' homes. The sheriff urged residents to turn on the outside lights, secure their homes, and refuse to open the door for anyone they didn't know. Wow. Maybe we need that border wall that Trump's talking about, huh? Nancy Pelosi. On Sunday, Douglas County Sheriff Dan Coberly told the Reno and Carson City communities, "We feel strongly that we have the man responsible for this and that you can continue to go about your daily activities and live normally." Carson City Sheriff Ken Furlow told reporters a tip led investigators to surveil Martinez Guzman, who had lived in the Carson City, Nevada area for approximately 1 year. Furlow added that immigration officials had said that Martinez Guzman was likely in the United States illegally and was detainable. Martinez Guzman was being held in the Carson City jail on Sunday and was charged with burglary, possession of stolen property, and obtaining money under false pretenses. Furlong added that an immigration hold had been placed on the suspect, who was not known to his office. Washoe County District Attorney Chris Hicks said authorities would seek arrest warrants against Martin S. Guzman for the murders in the coming days. But Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Maxine Waters, And the rest of you Democratic, Communist, Socialist, liberals out there, your story's got so many holes in it, it's pathetic. Everybody knows why you want to import in and ship all these foreigners into the United States illegally, hoping they'll vote Democratic to keep your communist, socialist, terrorist ass in office, so you can bankrupt this country and turn this country inside out. That is your MO. That is your agenda, and there's no use lying about it. Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, arrest warrants ought to be issued for both of you for murder. For murder. Aiding and abetting. And the fact that you're Congress, a member of Congress, makes no difference. You should be hunted down, just like those 4 people were hunted down, and the same thing done to you. You're scum to America. You're scum to the United States. And you can't handle Donald Trump standing up against your communist, socialist, terrorist agenda. You people are sick, pathetic, and mentally twisted. And Nancy Pelosi, everybody knows you got dementia. You don't even know what the Sam hell you're talking about half the time. You think George Bush is president. You can't even get your words together, Nancy Pissosi. As far as I'm concerned, you can shove a brick up your ass. You and Chuck Schumer both, and the rest of you Democratic, liberal, communist, socialist, terrorist to the United States. Every damn one of you. Now you go over there, Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and Maxine Waters, and you tell the families of these 4 dead how a border wall is immoral. You meet with them in person and tell them in front of their face how a border wall is immoral. And then you can tell the parents of Kate Steinle how a border wall is immoral. And the rest of the Americans who have been killed by illegals, whether it's hit and runs, accidents, murders, shootings, you go tell them. But no, Nancy Pelosi's too chicken shit to meet with angel moms. Isn't that right, Nancy Pelosi? While you have walls around your properties. Well, do you remember one thing, Nancy? I got a truckload of 250 criminal migrants coming up I've paid for. 250 coming to your property, your homes in California. They're in Napa Valley, your vineyard, and in San Francisco. They're going to take up residence in your properties. You remember that, Nancy Pelosi. See my earlier video if you think I'm kidding.
Immigration reform and border security. But a border wall, well, that's apparently immoral.
The inference that you draw from a wall is that's the only way to do that. That actually is an immorality. It builds walls in people's minds about who should come here and the rest. It's a very sad thing that he's doing to instill that kind of fear of newcomers to our country.
Schools, even in our prisons now, they have drawn lines, and our prisoners in California are being beat and harassed and raped by Hispanic gang members who recently arrived here because of the numbers. My answer to you, sir, would be we don't need any new laws. Enforce the ones we got.
And to Texas now, where we're learning exclusively about a new health threat coming from illegal border crossers. The Border Patrol now worried about a virus outbreak.
And ABC 15's Savita Fergani is taking action to get that story in Texas.
They're seeing crossers with contagious infections, and sources tell me right now, all that's separating the sick from the healthy, this caution tape, and agents tell me that's not enough.
We're sending people everywhere, and the average person, the average citizen doesn't realize what's going on down here.
Agent Chris Cabrera's concerns go way past the hundreds of women and children that cross the Rio Grande River every day in southern Texas.
We're having an outbreak of scabies that it's been going on for a month or so now.
The illegals would come across or jump that fence.
Texas border resident Jorge Garcia says word about the contagious skin infection is getting around.
Our Border Patrol comes and checks with us almost on a daily basis here, and they told us about an outbreak of scabies here at the McAllen station.
And that's not all.
We're starting to see chickenpox, we're starting to see staph infections, we're starting to see different viruses.
Garcia believes the viruses are not confined to the detention center. Not long ago, a group of border crossers came knocking on his door.
It was a 7-month-old baby. The baby was shaking and cold. It had a high fever.
We're told the Department of Homeland Security called in the Coast Guard medics. This trailer is just one of many used to treat the sick.
They're all contagious. So now we're transporting people to different parts of the state, different parts of the country, and some of these viruses are asymptomatic at this point. They're not showing the symptoms.
Just the fact that we're exposed to it, and so is everybody else here in South Texas, is a great concern to us.
And thousands of those immigrants that were detained, then released, are now spread all over the United States, including Arizona. It's unclear how many were treated for illness. And as of right now, DHS has denied every request I've made to speak to medical staff and take tours of the 3 facilities right here in Texas that are providing treatment. In McAllen, Texas, Levita Fragani, ABC 15 News.
On the ground, the agents are frustrated. Morale is low. They don't like to see their work. You know, when they've apprehended these people, they don't like to see them just released into our society. They want them deported as much as you and I.
All these Border Patrol agents we know are dedicated, patriotic people. We depend on them to be able to live here. I mean, if we didn't have the Border Patrol here, we probably wouldn't be here. I mean, we absolutely depend on them for our safety here. Equip them with the proper equipment that they need, night vision equipment, the latest night vision equipment, more boots on the ground. You know, we probably wouldn't be dealing with what we're dealing with right now, but that's not the case. You know, that's not happening.
They had asked years ago for more help, and instead they were cut. And now all of a sudden the government's finding all this money to house these illegals and feed them and cater them when this could have been avoided.
The criminal element is still coming through, and there's a substantial amount of that traffic slipping through here, and we're experiencing it every day. We've had a lot of traffic this week. There's been a number of encounters with these guys. There's imminent danger out here. These people have criminal intent. It would be nothing for us to be killed and the house ransacked and vehicles stolen.
But there's only one way for this criminal element, the gang members, the young men that have been deported multi-times, and this is their only route through. And this is what I'm seeing is all young males. I would say the last 50 or 60 illegal immigrants that I've seen out here have been 90%, 95% male.
A lot of these teenage boys coming from El Salvador and Guatemala, to be able to survive in Guatemala City, Guatemala, you know, by the time they're 13 years old, if they're not a gang member, they don't live. And that's what we're experiencing here. And
they've murdered somebody.
Yeah, well, they've murdered somebody, or they had to be a gang member to be able to survive. We know for a fact that these gang members that are coyotes that lead the humans through here are ruthless and heartless, and if somebody gets cramped up, they walk off and leave them. They don't call 911 to give a location where this person is. They tell them they're going to die. Sometimes they abuse them, beat them up a little bit, slap them around, and then leave them, and that's usually where they die.
What advice would you give people visiting this area of Texas?
Well, everybody just knows that, you know, you need to be very vigilant. You don't want to let any of these people get too close to you. You want to keep a distance. You want to keep a cell phone with you. And a lot of this country doesn't have cell phone service, but you definitely need to be armed. And your Second Amendment rights are very, very crucial to be able to live here. It's way past time to stand up and secure the border. No question there's a huge criminal element coming in here, going to every city in the United States, even Washington, D.C. People from terrorist countries, countries that are deemed special interest countries, pouring in here undetected. It's time to step up and shut the border down. We can shut the border down in Afghanistan or Iraq. That's a big priority. Our biggest priority needs to be shut down this southwestern border.
This has made an awareness to the rest of the country, because now the rest of the country is getting these people shipped to their backyards. And, you know, we've always said what's coming through our backyard is heading to their backyard.
So when they come with that hope, determination, courage, and optimism to make the future better, this immigration makes America more American. And that's not what happens in the president's bill.
But you mentioned that there will be
suggestion and appropriate to what the number of people we're trying to protect, to what the number of people we're trying to protect, the number of people we're trying to protect, the number of people we're trying to protect. That was agreed to. It had more money for border, but it also gave a path to citizenship for 11 million people.
11 million people. Isn't that right? What kinds of people, Nancy Pelosi? You don't care, do you? As long as they come over and vote for your Democratic, Communist, Socialist, scumbag party. Isn't that right, Nancy Pelosi? And you want to protect them? Protect who? You sure didn't protect the ones in Nevada that were recently killed and murdered, shot to death by an illegal immigrant, alien. Who are you protecting, Nancy Pelosi? Who voted for your dumb, degenerate ass?
So wall money is not a deal breaker for you?
Well, when you say wall money, what do you mean? Do you mean levees? Do you mean fences? Do you mean mowing the lawn, where the grass, where a lot of people have kind of come through unsuspected? You mean mowing the lawn, where the grass, where a lot of people have kind of come through unsuspected? You mean mowing the lawn, where the grass, where a lot of people have kind of come through unsuspected? You mean mowing the lawn, where the grass, where a lot of people have kind of come through unsuspected?
How the hell did this dumb broad ever get elected back into office, and especially to Speaker of the House? Are the people in California that damn stupid? And in other news out of Salt Lake City, Utah real estate agent allegedly shot and killed while trying to evict tenants. His family remembers him as a hero and a champion. Let's go look at that. There's the Utah real estate agent and his family there. 3 people were arrested Saturday in connection with the death of a Utah real estate agent who police believe was shot and killed while attempting to evict tenants at a Salt Lake City apartment. The arrest took place hours after detectives and friends searched the city for the 40-year-old victim. Police learned just before 11 p.m. Friday that David Stocco never left the apartment near 900 East Princeton Avenue. Police found Stocco's body in a semi-hidden crawl space, then shifted their focus to finding his missing Cadillac Escalade in addition to the apartment tenants. Wait till you see this. The Salt Lake City SWAT team found and arrested Manuel Vasquez, however you pronounce it, 31 years old, Jessica Reese, 38, who sometimes uses the last name Miller, and Diane Hernandez, 30, outside a South Salt Lake apartment after a short standoff around 6 a.m. Saturday. And here's your suspect, Mr. Velasquez. What's his name? Manuel Velasquez, or however you pronounce these names. Let me guess. He's got prior criminal records. He's just a good old boy, right? Right? Just a good old boy. Manuel Vasquez was booked into the Salt Lake County Jail on suspicion of murder and obstruction of justice, in addition to possession of a firearm by a restricted person. Highlight that restricted person, and a felony-level discharge of a firearm offense. Reese and Hernandez were booked on allegations of obstruction of justice. Let's go back to this. In addition to possession of a firearm by a restricted person and a felony-level discharge of a firearm offense. Keep that in mind. Remember that now. Court records show Manuel Velasquez, or Vasquez, however you pronounce his name, has been convicted of several felonies since 2008. several felonies. Doesn't say if he's here in the country illegally or not. My hunch is there's one of the other female suspects, probably not here legally. Who knows? It doesn't say, and they probably aren't going to tell us. There's another one. Looks like a typical druggie. And there's your suspect. Yeah. There's your Manuel Velasquez. Probably here illegally like the rest of the degenerate bastards. Just here to make their lives better, right? By thieving and stealing and murdering. Yeah, the type that Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and Maxine Waters and the rest of the Democratic, Communist, Socialist, Terrorist liberals want to import into your community, your city, your town, your state, and your country. Remember, though, according to Nancy Pelosi, border walls and more immigration officials and ICE agents are immoral. Immoral. It's all right that Nancy Pelosi has armed security and border walls and all this protection. Just not you, the American people. Because, after all, she was voted to be congressperson in California. Now she's Speaker of the House. And evidently, all these illegals voted for her from another country. Yeah, right. So she's not really representing the people of California or this country. She's representing the people, the illegals, criminal illegals from other countries, whether they be migrants from El Salvador, Mexico, Guatemala, wherever. The Middle East, terrorists. Apparently she's catering to jihad, those Middle Eastern terrorists. She ain't going to come out and tell you that, though. She's going to lie like she always does. Isn't that right, Nancy Pelosi? Little lying skank. Communist liberal skank at that. Nancy Pelosi. Time to call her on it, folks. All you government workers that are out of work because she won't set her ass down and deal with Donald Trump. She's too busy in Hawaii. Going to Portugal or wherever the hell she was flying to before Trump grounded her. Yep. Grounded her plane, made her turn around, go back, made the bus back up, beep, 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 backup alarm, beep, 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 beep. Right, Henry Davis? If you don't know who Henry Davis is, you gotta go watch his YouTube channel, cause he is one funny guy. I like him. Henry Davis. Watch his YouTube channel. He'll tell you all about that backing up the bus, beep, 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 beep. I love it. I love it. All right, let's get on with it.
The WIC whistleblower also showed me several internal documents from Georgia's Department of Community Health, which oversees the multi-million-dollar program. This memo instructs employees to accept expired ID, even foreign identification, but cautions, quote, acceptance of an expired ID is not a practice WIC would like to advertise to the general public.
It's horrible that we have American citizens that do without, but illegal aliens come in and without proof walk away with thousands and thousands per family.
And what's most alarming to her,
we watch him pull up in a Mercedes, have a Coach bag, an iPhone, diamond rings.
We wanted to see for ourselves, so we sat outside a WIC office for 3 days in April and watched some fancy cars and SUVs pull in, including a Hummer, Escalade, and a BMW. Baker tells me that she was encouraged, despite any questions about eligibility, to sign people up for WIC.
My job is to approve them for WIC. I had been told that numerous times by several supervisors.
We also found WIC vouchers are not only easy to obtain, but sell for cash. We discovered this storefront right down the street from a WIC clinic willing to buy WIC vouchers. Kelly Baker says while WIC has good intentions, it's failing to properly manage and disperse hundreds of millions of dollars in taxpayer funds that go into it.
And I think initially it was a good program. Kids who didn't have formula had the option to get it. But once you don't hold people accountable for what they tell you, I mean, then everybody can tell you whatever they want.
We contacted the Georgia Department of Community Health to show them the findings of our investigation. A spokesman said they would have no comment at this